Hey everyone, it's me coming on strong. Hope you're feeling blessed no matter where you are. Now, I've thought about this video for a couple days because I was inspired by a sentence. You know, sometimes inspiration comes in some of the most interesting ways. And this inspiration got me to understand maybe this is what I could talk about, because I find a lot of people in my life ask me, you know, why do you believe in God? Why do you believe in what you do? Why do you believe? Why do you believe? Why do you believe? Believe. Such a interesting word. But it's everything. Belief in yourself, belief in love everlasting, belief in life everlasting, belief in your dreams. It's really the catalyzer for all existence, because we don't realize how much of the creatorship lies in our hands. And we don't realize that in that one singular idea, all things are born, in a sense. The line I heard was, love is like air. Even though you can't see it, you know it's there. And I know that you can see air. I know that we can scientifically dissect it, right? We have answers for what air is. But when we come into our existence, any being of any form, it's something that just naturally starts happening. These lungs open up and we start absorbing whatever this is. As a child, you know, no one tells you. It just happens. Sometimes they smack the kid on the butt so that they can start that, wah, you know what I mean? But it's that ultimate first breath that gets the life going. You know what I mean? And in the same time, that's basically how we view love. That's how we view God, I hope. Because a lot of people want to put God into parameters. Want to put a box on it. Want to explain it. Want to, you know, try to understand it. But we don't do that for things like air or our breath. And we don't do that for things like love. And it's kind of funny how those two things, breath and love, are those intermingled explanations for what God or source or creator or the all or mother, father, whatever we want to name it, put a context on it, is described. Because that is the key to understanding the element of that of which it is. The I am that I am. You know, you think about that statement and it doesn't really mean much, right? I am that I am. But it's like the same when you describe breath and love. It is. It just is. You breathe in life every moment and every day. You fall in love. You have love. You build connections. Crazy connections sometimes for people across the world, and you don't even know how. You have connections with people, probably even on this YouTube. I have connections. You know what I mean? People that I really care about. And they're all around the world. And it's just from this media that we've connected. And we are simpatico somehow. You know what I'm saying? Is it the algorithm? Or is it love? You love what I do. I love what you do. And that love translates. Does there need to be an explanation? No. It's just there. It just is. And that's basically how I try my best to explain to anyone what God is, what the creation is, whatever name. I'm going to call it God. Let's just keep it basic, simple. Because God is a tangibility. It's something that you just accept of self to exist. Because the minute you try to put parameters is the minute that you have to kind of explain to yourself how you take in breath. And yes, we could dissect it for days. And the same goes for love. You know, like no one can ever explain why you love someone. No one can ever explain why you do the craziest shit you'll ever do for love. Why you have love. Why the love of your children is so intense. It makes you do things that you thought you weren't even capable of because of this emotion. You know what I mean? Like for the parents out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You'd jump through fire. You'd rush into a burning house to save your kid. You would put yourself on the line to death for a child. That's if you're all up here and normal. You know what I'm saying? And the parents that are on here know that. And it's because of that love, that unexplainable thing. No one told you. It just is. You just feel it. And that's kind of what I'm trying to say about Creator. God is ever present. God is not just in us as filaments of this existence, of all existence, all animals, all plants, everything's alive with that breath. You know what I'm saying? And realistically, when I spend time with people and they're like, oh, you have to put parameters, you have to make it make sense, get into debates with people about religion, and not for nothing, people, religion is created by man. Okay? It's not, it's like the breakdown of something that is so awesome, so easily understood, and yet it's made to be tarnished in such a uncreative way to give power and rise to, I don't like to say the word men, but it has been, you know, there hasn't been any women religions and that's okay, you know what I mean, because really and truly women would probably do the same thing and botch it all up just the same for power. And God's not about power, God's about love. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because when I heard that saying, I figured that this is the best way I could ever describe what this is. A lot of people are always like, I don't feel God, I don't see God. Yet sometimes you ask these questions out to the universe and you'll see things in your day-to-day that actually give you the answers. And a lot of us, what do we do? What do we do with those answers? We explain it away. You know, you could have asked something in your head about the journey, about life, about experience, and you get a life experience that answers the question, or you see another situation that answers your question. And when you separate yourself from that zinging feeling inside, for that shining moment, you feel seen, you feel heard, you feel like that's your answer. And you just feel it and you're like, yeah, that's it. And then what happens? You try to explain it away. You try to make it make sense. And usually why that is because a lot of us just don't feel worthy of the Creator God's love. We don't think we're special enough. We don't think we don't think that we have that aspect or that filament or that part to play here. We don't think that this creation's love is unabounding. Yet, when we think of our own kids, we love our kids regardless of what they do. Freedom to exist, freedom of choice, is the one gift that we're given by the Creator. We can choose every day to be someone different if we want. We can choose every day to do something outside of what we've been doing. No one gives us that power except for the Creator. No one can take it away. And this is what I think a lot of people struggle with. Because I know for myself, I spent a lot of my life not loving myself. And realistically, for all of you out there, if you felt this too, I will tell you the easiest, and not even easy. Okay, I take it back. I never would have had a connection with the creation of God or any form of understanding or any of it because I didn't love myself. When we're kids, we love ourselves. We don't even think of another way of being. We just are. We just act. We just do based on our instincts, based on our format, our stock implementation into this game. And because of that, it's the world that molds us to start denying, disbelieving, not believing in ourselves. The outer world stops us from having that true inspiration and that cohesiveness with our imagination. And that's what starts to separate us from creation, from that feeling like we're part of the all, the one. And realistically, I really want to share this with you guys because if you feel that you're in that position, really, if the next time you ask out a question and it's being answered, try something different. Take that liberty of that great, awesome power you have to believe that it's for you. To believe that that message, that grace was offered to you. Does it hurt anybody? Does it hurt you to believe that it exists? And that's the thing. It's for something you can't see and something you can't truly feel at every given moment of every minute of the day, let's just say, because of all the preoccupations we have in our life. We don't criticize the breath. We don't criticize love. But yet we criticize the creation. And that has to do with a me problem, an us problem. Because if we said to ourselves, you know what? When Creator's giving us that answer, that was for me. That was to help. That was designed strictly for moi. And then that's when you do the high five with the Creator. Because you believe that it exists for you. That's how connections are made. It's like as if somebody was calling you every day, ringing off your phone, and you just kept playing and pressing, no, deny, deny, deny. There's no connection that's made, right? You know that a call is coming in. You know that it might be something that somebody has to tell you. You know it's the same phone number repeatedly calling you every day. And until you pick up that phone, until you make it a reality, until you literally say to yourself, okay, I'm going to figure out who's on this other line, it's not real. And that's the same way that it works with God. Until you believe what is taking place for you, that connection can never happen. And it's not because Creator disregards you. It's because you haven't reached out your hand, or you haven't picked up that phone and said, hey, I hear you. Hey, that's you. Make it reality. Make it real for you. And trust me, when I say this, we all live in our own reality bubbles, right? What I see is not what you see. Every perception is different. But it doesn't change that the creation are like the eyes behind the eyes, watching everything that goes on, feeling everything that you feel, knowing every step you've taken. So when that big aha comes, or when that answer comes to you, it's direct. It's just for you. And usually, 9 times out of 10, maybe 10 out of 10 times, your body has a physical reaction to that connection once it's made. Once you go, oh my God, that's the answer to what I was asking. And you for that tangible moment, connect and say, that was for me. That was God. Hold on to that. And then realize that the connection's made. Right? Once the connection's made, then you realize that it's not what the books say. It's not what religion teaches you. The connection's made, and it's on you to build it with the Creator. You have to reach out. You also have to give gratitude. People always talk about prayers, right? Why do we pray? How do we pray? Most of the times people are praying because they're asking for favors. Now, if you have a friend that's always asking for favors, trust me, you're not going to want to pick up that phone all the time. I'm just being as blunt as possible. But if you have a friend that's calling you to tell you, hey man, I really appreciated all the stuff you've done for me, oh man, it's not to say that we shouldn't ask for help and none of that, but we should at least pick up that phone sometimes and say, hey man, this is great. I was able to have wonderful children. I was able to have a wonderful day. Thank you. Just say thank you sometimes. That's a prayer. We always forget gratitude is one of the best ways to connect with the Creator, because we don't like it. So why? And not to say that God even judges that. That's not even something God judges, but it's just to build on that connection. And the reason why I was talking about this is because I feel like this is something that didn't really escape me, because maybe some of us are given that type of teaching early in life. I mean, I know for what I lived through in my lifetime, it wasn't easy. People could look at me and judge whatever way they want to judge and be like, oh, you're a white woman, what do you know? But I didn't grow up with a lot of means. I didn't grow up with parents that were the best. I spent a lot of time as an only child on my own, and I can honestly say the imagination grew. I can honestly say when I was always protecting my family from a very young age, I was the protector. And you know what? I had to lean on somebody. And that somebody was God. The times that I was terrified, the times that 7-year-olds or 9-year-olds should have to handle. But you know who was there holding me and giving me a hug? God. So I guess for me it was a lot easier than some people. Maybe some of you have found God, maybe some of you haven't. But I know that I had an upbringing that brought me to God a lot sooner than most. When you have a lot of clear-cut, close to death situations, from a very young age, multiple times, you meet the Creator, you know? So as I grew up and I continued on in my life, I kept hold of that and I kept trying to develop it. And trust me, there are times we stray. There are times we all do wrong things. You know, a lot of people sit back and say like, oh, you know, God's going to put us into some formation of judgment and then we're all going to go to a place called hell. Well, I'll tell you something. Hell can be right here too. Right in this place. Because of the sins you cast against yourself. Now, that word sin comes right out of those books. But I'll give you an example so you guys can understand, so that maybe it'll make sense. There's that saying about, you know, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. And they call that a sin. And it is. We do sins a lot. We do sins, but we don't understand what the word actually represents. Because really what those books were trying to express, or what what they were trying to tell us, or the actual people that were actually evolved to understand what this is, all they were doing was giving you kind of like a rubric on how things injure your soul. So let's say you covet your neighbor's wife. What takes place? It gets really hairy really fast. You got two families you split up. The two of you are lying to your partners. And the two of you are probably breaking up a family, breaking up trust. And that makes things very difficult for you to continue on and try to uphold these two households. Now, that's just a relatable everyday story, okay? That's the breakdown of two families. There's a lot of burden, there's a lot of weight that comes with that act, okay? And the thing is that why they keep talking about repentance, about how that will, get you somewhere, you got to think of it even logically. If the two people that did this act go and tell their partners, it stops all the other grief and the strife that follows. Yes, your partners know, but at least the buck stops there. You don't have to make up more lies. You don't have to try to build, break down all that trust even further. So realistically, it's just kind of a how to not make things difficult in your life. Like, when we look at sin, there's so many variations, and not for nothing. It's just a telltale way to describe how to make your life easy. And realistically, I think sin, much like our adjudication system here, is really based on a merit system of like where your intention was at the time that you committed the sin. That's how much it injures you. Like, for example, if you're someone who steals, but you steal because you want to feed your family and it's the only way you can figure it out. Let's say you lost your job, you got no funds, you have to put food on the table. You haven't been able to come up with the cash. You haven't been able to do whatever you can, and you've tried in a real legit way, and you end up stealing to put food on the table for your kids. That is not going to burden you, other than the fact that maybe you feel low about yourself because you're in the situation you're in, and that's not a great representation of who you are as a person. And you carry that. No one else knows, just you and the Creator, about how the heaviness is on your heart, not because of what you did, but because of where you are in life that brought you to that act. You probably didn't want to steal. You probably do want a great job. You probably don't want to be in that situation. But you had no other choice. So you did what you had to do. So the burden you carry is more so about how you feel about your representation to yourself about what you did. Now, there's people that steal because they like getting away with it. And there's people that steal because they find it to be a thrill. There's people that steal because they're kleptomaniacs, whatever the case may be. Again, the variance is all differential. If you do certain things, you know that across the board, it doesn't matter who did the stealing. In the judicial system, under $5,000, you're all going to go to the same penalization and end up in jail for the same amount of time, regardless of the reason. Okay? You steal under $5,000, you can relate to a judge. Maybe a judge will look lenient, especially for the one stealing for the food. But realistically, you all go to jail for the same reasons. But the sin itself is only cast based on how you monitored it, judged it upon your own soul. So the person who stole for their family may not feel that bad because it was justified in their own mind. The person who's stealing for the fun of it probably won't feel so bad because it was fun. The person that steals because they want more money or more gains or more means, they'll probably only be upset that they got caught. So I hope you understand that it's not so much the actual act or getting caught, it's how you view. And that's what I mean about when it comes to even things with love. Love is such a tricky mistress, because they always say God is love. Yes, God is, because love is everything. Every emotion in the spectrum of emotions is in love. All the nasty ones and all the beautiful ones, they're all that big beautiful pie of love. Shady, envy, greed, lust. Name the emotion, it's encompassed in that big pie of love. So realistically, when you think about God, God sees us all in all shades and fashions and ways, because we act on the main core idea of love for all of those variances. Now you might be saying to me, what do you mean about lust? Okay, I'll give you an example. Some people lust, right? They might say it's a bodily thing. They might say like, oh, it's the heat of the moment. Heat of the moment. But let's think of it this way. Maybe you're lusting over people because that's the parameter and the only thing that you think will get you a person for that moment in time, because you're lonely, because you want to be chosen, because you want somebody to feel or be there or touch you or embrace you. Now, when I put it in that prerogative, what does that kind of sound like? Someone who's lonely and wanting love. Yet, the way they react to it is with lust. Let's say somebody's envious. They're envious to somebody because what they possess is something that's tied to something they don't possess that they really wish they could have. And why did they really wish they could have it? Probably because they feel like if they had it, they might love themselves more. They might be loved more. It all boils down to love. When somebody is jealous, same reason. When somebody is revengeful, 9 times out of 10, same reason. Either love for oneself or love for another person to get revenge against them. Because let's say, for example, your boyfriend, girlfriend broke up with you, really shady way. Your first reaction is to want to get them back sometimes. You know what I'm saying? But the reason why you're doing it is because you love them. You loved what you had. You're scared of what it means to let go of it. You don't know if anyone's going to love you again. Love, 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 love. So that's why in this world that we're faced in, when people get confused about the idea of how is God, love? And then how can God allow for certain things to happen? Well, like I said, God gives us freedom of will, freedom of choice. It is one of the best gifts, and at the same time, it's kind of a curse too. The double-edged sword that Yeshua talks about, it's the same thing. Because sometimes, because people get possessive, people want things. Again, it's envy, it's greed, it's want, it's desire. It's all these emotions that all have to do with love. Can you believe that sometimes these wars are from a fundamental place of love? Would blow your mind. But it's true. People say it's power, but why do people want power? So that they'll be adored? So that they'll be loved? So that they can maneuver others in ways to manipulate, to control? And why do you want that? Because you weren't probably loved really well. Because people that feel love, people that have love, people that understand the crux of what it means to really be loving, they're very comfortable in their own skin. They know what they put out is what they get back. They don't strive for those negative thoughts and emotions as much because they're content. The people that are striving for all of this, they're not content. They don't have that connection. They don't have that love in their heart. Not just for people, but for themselves. So that's why it's like a lot of this is just the creation of man, more so than it is the creation of the Creator. Creator just gave us this freedom. And how we chose to work with that freedom is on us. We are all these individual bipartisan, flecks of God living on this planet right now. And we choose every day how we wield that power. And when we choose to perform genocide, when we choose to go to war, when we choose to destroy the earth, that's all our choices. Because realistically, people think like, oh, why would God allow this? Well, you want to know something? I'm not the creator, but I know that it's ancient. I'm not the creator. I know it's eternal. So if, let's say, for example, this will all play itself out, and I know wholeheartedly Mother Earth will do her revolution again, and she will just dispel of us as she sees fit. If we destroy the earth, hurricanes, tsunamis, name it, will come our way. If we take all the water, we'll die. If we go to war and blow ourselves all up, we'll die. So realistically, it's not about God's interference. It's basically allowing her children, to play out with the biggest gift we were given on this planet and to dole out the power as we saw fit. Also, to stop those that claim to have this power as we see fit. And that's the actual power that all of us possess every minute of every day. No one is above, no one is below. Yes, we could look at it in terms and means of like, oh, but they have money. Who gave the idea that money is worth a damn? We did. Who said that paper is better than trade? We did. Who says that one thing is more important than the other? We did. And I'm not saying that we're going to change the world with that idea right at this moment in time. But when we start to realize that love also has to do with greed, because again, it's back to that power thing. Would they have to fill those gaping holes of their soul with all these things, with all this power, if they love themselves? Probably not. If they felt gratitude, if they felt content, if they felt whole, if they knew their soul truly was eternal, that we were given this life to do the best we could, and it's not a one-time shot, and our lives have, trilogies beyond what this life is right now. Would these people do the same thing? They kind of have this like FOMO thing going on with their lives. And they feel like, oh, the only way I will be known through time is if I just take everything and destroy it. That sounds like somebody who didn't have a lot of love in their life. So this is why I really feel like if anyone understands how or what God is, you start to fill that hole inside. Because you realize the unity and the unitedness is always there. It's never apart. You're all a part of one whole, great, awesome soul. That's the best way I could describe it. And if you don't realize that connection, and everyone doesn't realize that connection, they go striving for these external things outside of themselves, we continue to pillage, to do all these horrendous things because of this problem. Same thing goes with all the negative shit that we see. Because realistically, there was a lot of misconstrued love in the mix. And I see a lot of people out in this world who are claiming that they understand, that they are full of light and full of love. And yet, they're terrified of the dark. Terrified to take off their masks. Terrified to look outside of them, look within themselves enough to be themselves, to say it like it is, and to, realize that they don't need everything, and to be high vibing all the time is somewhat of a ridiculous half-assed pursuit. Because like I said, how can you be light and love if you're not gonna do the whole pie? If you're not gonna try to understand the whole pie? That's why I think a lot of us that are these light bearers, we had to live in darkness majority of our existence. So that we could face it, so we could understand it, so we could know it, so we could smell it, discern it. Because just being high vibing all the time is kind of like hollow, really. Because yes, it's great to have these fantasies of grandeur. It really is. But the thing is that if the fantasies are hollow, because they're not willing to look at the nitty gritty, they're not willing to look at what hurts, they're not willing to look at the dark side of things, the things that are prevalent in our face every day of the week. If we can't look at it and we just distract from it and we just pretend like, oh, if we just think these things away, they will be. Okay, true enough. How can you really get to that place if you're not even willing to look at everything that's dark within your own home, within your own community, within what's going on? If you don't clean that up, you don't face that, you don't do nothing about that, how are you ever going to find the light within yourself? Because I'll tell you something, as someone who's walked a lot in darkness, as I said, I did not have a cookie cutter, silver spoon life. The times that I went through the most greatest hardships, and the times that I saw the darkest of people and places and things, was the places that I came to understood all sides of that pie. To understand what God may or may not experience with his kids, her kids. Because we're given this beautiful world, we're given this freedom of choice, we're given the right to believe in anything we want. And how we conduct ourselves, majority of the time, it's coming from pain. Majority of time when people inflict negative shit, it's because it's coming from pain. But no one wants to talk about the pain. No one wants to talk about the sorrow, the strife, the ugliness. No one wants to tackle that. They just want to tell everybody, hey, keep living in love and light, and we'll get there. We'll get there someday. Yeah, someday. Someday. Right? But realistically, if you actually can deal with everything that's dark inside, then you can show others how you dealt with it. Then you can help others that are dealing with it. And then you can get them out of that muck, out of that hole, and help them dig their way out too. And that's real light. It's kind of like it's kind of like going to a gym and seeing one of the fattest people there and then showing them how awesome you work out. What the fuck is that going to do for them? They're just going to be jealous. They're just going to be disappointed in themselves because they can't do half the shit you can do. But if you sit there and you train with them at their level and say, hey, you know what, buddy? Let's do 2 sit-ups today. Let's do 2, I've been where you've been. I know where you're coming from. That person does those 2 sit-ups. They're sweating bullets. They're buckets. You know what I mean? And they're out of breath. And you just say, okay, buddy, take a break. Let's just go on the tread. 5 minutes, tops. 2 minutes, whatever you can take. Being at people's levels of where they are in their saddest moments, their hardest moments, whatever moments that may be. Holding your friend's hair up as they puke 1,000 times because they're an alcoholic. Not telling them that they should go do, the AA, or they should go do this, or they should go do that. Because, oh, you need to do this. No, actually holding their hair and helping them through. And just telling them that they're so loved. That's why you're there holding their hair. That they have love in their lives. That there are people that care about them. That's the true light. That's the true love. So, I really have a hard time when I see these people. And the majority of them are just doing the same things that every other televangelist, glorified pope, glorified preacher has done for generations. Which is just use the Almighty. Just use it to belittle others or justify their greatness, and then hold it over people and say, oh, maybe one day you'll get there too. And you need to look at me because I've reached there. Well, not for nothing, my friends. If the person hasn't literally ascended out of this fucking location, they ain't done shit. They ain't done shit. And I'm sorry I'm being so blunt, but it's like I see these people and I literally, I want to heave. Because I'm just like, all you're doing is standing on whatever platform and you're just bragging about what you've done. And yet, you have no interest in being where people are. So if you're somebody who is in the midst of some cult, some church, some whatever, I hope you hear this message. They can't fucking help you. Okay? Point blank. One of the easiest ways to find your way out of that mess, to find your way out of a hole, to find your way and make the connection is belief. Believing that you can, believing that you are, believing that God gave you that special gift, yourself. Not them, not someone else. Maybe, yes, everyone has it, but I'm just trying to say, it's not special. You all have it. You all can have it. You all have it today. You all have it at this moment. It's here. It's already here. It's just picking up the call and saying, okay, I'm ready to talk. I'm ready to begin. And just realizing that whatever little step you take towards the next step of greatness is how you get to a place where you even feel worthy enough to love you. And that's a fucking feat and a half. I'll tell you that much. Because we are in a world of people, disbelievers, non-believers of self. You can't even throw a rock into a group of people without hitting a bunch of people that really loathe who they are. And it's fucking sad. I want to cry when I talk to people sometimes because I just see this beauty. I see the potential. I see everything that they are sometimes. And just the ways we talk about ourselves, the ways I talked about myself for so long. And you know what's messed up about that? It's that I didn't realize how much I was hurting myself. I didn't realize how much God will never, ever let you go. Okay? I'll put, I don't have $1 million, but I would put a fucking $1 million on that point. And the thing is, because God knows that you are one stone throws away from reaching your greatness. And it just starts with you actually believing that you are. Believing that it's there. It's like a teacher. It's like a parent. It's like a best friend. You ever ask your best friends about you? They sure do love you. They sure do tell you the best things about you. And we don't see it. But imagine, for one shining moment, you believe them. When they tell you you're great at some skill, you said, really? All right. I'm gonna fucking do this skill till I kill it. I'm gonna kill this skill. I'm gonna be the best at this skill. You know why? Because I believe my friend loves me. My friend wouldn't lie. And sometimes God works all through these beings. All these contracts, all these connections. God is showing herself through these people to get you to believe in you. To get you to go past that line to say, hey. And it's all about belief. Because until you believe in you, it's going to be really hard to start that engine. You know what I'm saying? That starting motor needs to kick on to get the rest of the engine going. And I'm trying to give all the examples I can, because I think that's the main issue this world has, is that all of us don't start that engine. Because if we started the engine, there would be no stopping us. We wouldn't feel less than. We wouldn't feel separated. We wouldn't feel like we had to fill our lives with all this meaningless shit. Clothes, cars, this, that. You know how many times I've been out and I've met rich people. I've been on yachts. I've met celebrities. All I'm trying to say is that they too are not happy most of the time. The happiest fucking people I have ever met in my life are the ones that are doing what they love. They could be menially poor to middle class, but they have their means. They have their house, whatever shape, way that is. They take stock of the life they want. They don't wait for anybody. They just live it the way they want to live it, by their shots. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't matter if you have a job. You have the job you want. You have the boss you want. You have the friends you want. That's how you find true happiness. You could have all the fucking shit in the world and still be miserable. And so many people trade in a part of themselves, so much of themselves for these things. And realistically, every time you sell a part of yourself for these things, you lose a part of yourself. And that hole gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And you need more shit to fill inside. And the same with vices. If somebody had told me that long time ago, I really, really would have appreciated that. Why do we get fat? Why do we drink? Why do we smoke doobs? Why do we do coke? Why did we do E? Whatever the case may be for you. Okay? I've done all of that. I don't do any of it now. Haven't done it for over a decade. I mean, I drank up until maybe like 5 years ago. Here and there I'll have a drink, but not like I used to. You know why? Because I don't need it. It doesn't fulfill me. I used to drink to get over social anxiety. I used to drink just to face people. I used to drink just so I could cope and live with myself. And a lot of us do that. A lot of us do drugs because of that. We can't dance on a dance floor without doing these things. Why? Because we're too worried about what everyone else is fucking thinking. Yet, if you just love yourself and you just say, hey, you know what? All of these people in this room, they're me too. We're all gonna have a great time. Because I'm great and they're great and it's great. Trust me, that gets high. That gets a drug pumping through it's called endorphins and it's called being happy. Truly. But I didn't know that back then. And a lot of us don't know that right now. We escape because of the misery. We escape because we don't change the things that drive us fucking ape. We don't change a fucking thing due to fear. We don't want to be different. We don't want to get out of situations because of what Billy and Bobby and Susie and everyone will say. But you want to know something, peeps? At the end of the day, when you're knocking on that fucking door of death, all them people ain't gonna matter. The only persons that matter, you. Your fam. That's it. And the people that you carry, which are your connections. And I bet you, if they're the right connections, they fucking love you. So they would want you to be as happy as you could possibly be. So what is it about humans? Why do we keep fucking stopping ourselves from being happy? Why do we stop ourselves from having a connection with God? Living with Creator every day? Because we're so absorbed in what's going on out there. We're so absorbed. And that's what stops us. Because once you fill that hole with real, you fill it up. It's not fake filling, it's real filling. It's like you actually fill it up so that it's sealed. And then you start realizing, I feel whole. I'm part of the connection of the whole. Now let's do some real work. Now let's spread some real joy. Now let's get that fucking engine kicked on for others. And you cannot kick on an engine for others until you've done it for yourself. I know that. Scout's honor. Because realistically, all the pain and strife that any of us go through, it is by design. We can learn or we can become the victims. And when we don't become the victims, we become the survivors. And when we become the survivors, we become the strivers. And when we become the strivers, we become limitless. Like, not for nothing, the ingenuity that we have in our little cabezas over here is phenomenal. Anytime you want something, you can get it. If you really want it, if you really believe it, you can get it. There is actually nothing stopping any of us from having anything that we truly want on this planet, in this world. Now, some of you may be saying to me, okay, I have a disability that prevents me from walking, that prevents me from doing certain things, or I have an illness, right? Yes, I'm going to say to you, that is for you to understand and to live with. And I do not put any pity onto you or any of that, because there are people within all the spectrum of that same disability or disease that look at that in different ways. Because realistically, there are people that do amazing things with these disabilities and these diseases. And yes, some of you could be looking at me and saying, well, I have cancer, stage 4, and I'm about to not make it. I have family that's going through that right now. I've had family go through that multiple times. And I can say this for anyone. It's all about the perspective of what you want to do with that time. You can either share it with your family. You could choose to get angry. You could choose to be malicious. You could choose to connect. You could choose to write a memoir. You could choose to do anything you want with whatever time or what has happened for you. And I'm not saying that it's easy. I'll never say that to your face because it's ridiculous. But all I can say is that no matter what hand we're given, we got to make the best of what we've got. Because again, it's about perspective. I hope that what I said makes sense. I guess I just feel like I have so much to give this world of myself. And I keep working towards that every day. There's more in me. There's more in you. There's more in us completely that we just haven't even seen in over a decade or so, or maybe never seen. Or we're working on remembering, or we're working at exposing, and it's all a work in progress. We're all beautiful, gracious God's gifts worked in progress. And I think the only thing that's ever going to change this planet is when we actually clue into this. Each of us. Sorry to say, fuck the love and light game. Fuck them fake lighters. Because you want to know something? That fluffiness is never going to get us out of this. Never. Because if we are still hating on ourselves, wearing these masks, pretending like our traumas aren't real, pretending that we're not survivors and thrivers, and that we have something to say, we have something to offer, we don't move that dial, and we just pretend. We just pretend it away. That's not taking the power back. That's not getting that, engine going. That's just like, that's just, starting the starter over and over and over again. Because the fire's not there. The belief isn't there. The connection's not there. It's fundamentals. It's you love you. It shines through. You could show it to others. And how do you love yourself? By taking a baby step every fucking day. Every day you take a baby step. Whatever it may be for you. Getting out of ugly relationships. Getting out of shitty jobs that do not benefit you. You're working the 9 to 5s and you're fucking pulling your hair out and you're going through traffic and all this shit. For what? Because you really think in this plethora of everything that's in this universe, there's nothing else for you? Now what sounds ridiculous now? I don't care what job you have. I don't care what education you've got. I have full faith that God gave you gifts. God has given us all gifts. And the thing is that a lot of us are squandering those gifts doing fucking shit we hate. And then we hate it, and then it just burns us down, makes us small, makes us feel shitty. And realistically, if we took one leap of faith to get out of whatever shitty fucking situation we're in, be it that we cut that relationship, we stop getting abused, we move to another location, we get rid of the friends that hold us back, we maybe go get a second opinion from another doctor, maybe we take a class, a course. There's free online courses all over this planet right now. Maybe we pick up a second job. Maybe we spend more time on our hobbies. Maybe we find what we love and foster all that energy into that versus what we're doing at that 9 to 5. Because a lot of us, especially us that are open now, on to the soul journey, realizing this fucking facade of a zoo out here. If you're still believing in the zoo, I don't know what to say to you, because this shit is out of hand. It's whack. It's designed to say, wake the fuck up. Wake the fuck up. This illusion is crumbling, and everyone who's trying to piece the fucking illusion like paper mache back together is like weak as fuck. It's weak as fuck. And that's what I'm trying to say. People would rather paper mache that shitty fucking reality back together than say to themselves, hey, I've got an opportunity here to make a change. Shit's so crazy right now that anybody online can do anything. You could start a fucking children's show on YouTube that makes you a killing right now. Playing with trucks, getting views, making cash. You know what I'm saying? There's a million cajillion ways to find money in this world right now because of what we're afforded with technology and everything else. So when people say to me, I don't think I could do it. Well, you know what? We got to get some creativeness going here in this world. Because realistically, I know it's hella fucking scary. But so's the world out here. Does any of it make sense? So why do we have to stick to these parameters when nothing's making sense? And that's all I'll say for today. Make it make sense. Find that connection. Realize that the breath of life and love are your compass. Realize that those things don't need an explanation, and neither does God. God is in you. You are God here. And that's all you need. Bye.